Yo, what is good with y'all boys? It is Comfey here, and today I'll talk about why this type soul update will end up killing the game. Alright, now before we get into that, I don't want any drama. This isn't to stir up drama. This is me stating pure facts, but no hate to the devs, no hate to the community. I'm still gonna be playing the game, right? But I'm just gonna mention the problems so then further game developers don't make the same mistake. But before we get into type soul, I would like to mention to you guys two different types of players. I've been playing Roblox for 11 years, alright, and I've noticed two different player bases, alright? You have the competitive players and you have the casual players. All right, the casual players are just trying to play the game for fun, play with their friends and have a good time. They're not going to be playing rank that much. They're not going to be going meta. All right. On the other hand, the competitive players, they're going to be trying to climb the ranks, like play with their friends, maybe do some clan wars and try to be the best. They'll play meta. They'll play, whatever makes them the best. And they're just trying to be better and rank to become a better player. All right. Now, a good game has a good balance of both of these. All right. And as much as I hate to say it, and it's kind of a brain dead game, but Bloxfruit has a good balance. You have competitive players that can grind for bounties, but you have casual players who can also just play the game and try out different fruits. All right, that is a good balance. That is why it's one of the most successful games on the platform. Another good example of this is Deepwoken with their competitive clans and their ranked system, but also you could just play casually and just try to explore with your friends. All right, these are two perfect examples of having good, balanced community. All right, both of these communities matter. All right, you cannot have a good game without having a casual community and a competitive community, or it won't be successful. But Type Soul has some problems with this balance. All right, so on my screen right now, we are looking at Rollimons. This is Type Soul. All right, so this is a graph of just like the concurrent player base and stuff like that. Now, as you can see, this is like their first shutdown, and then they came out with the rework. Now you'll notice a lot of spiking. All right, but then it drops like really fast. This is because Type Soul likes to cater more to the competitive side, which actually kills their game. So whenever Type Soul drops an update, it is mostly benefiting to the competitive side, and they don't add much to the casual side. So that's why you're seeing this major drop. It is all the casual players that are just trying to have fun, but they can't because it's just not good for them. All right, the update doesn't it's not fun. Now, an example of a casual player, because I really haven't gotten one, is just someone who's just trying to feel like they're in a game. All right, if you're playing Bloxfruits, everything in there is just One Piece. All right, you feel like you're a pirate. You're going through. You feel like you're in a crew. You know what I'm saying? You're getting those fruits. Same with GPO. All right, you feel like in the main game, not battle royale, but you feel like you're a pirate, and that's what kind of this is what I'm trying to say is a casual community, the community that is just trying to have fun and feel like they're in maybe their favorite show. All right, but Type Soul is different because you might notice Type Soul adds some random ass shit. All right, you're playing a Bleach game with Dante Devil Trigger. I mean, it makes no sense. And then all of a sudden you're getting black flashed, and then you're going through dimensions. All right, it's insane. All right, Type Soul pulls two. It doesn't feel like a Bleach game. It just feels like a parry based game with some Bleach aspects. It doesn't feel like a Bleach game. And you'll notice that any game, really, like any anime Roblox game that like tries to combine shit, it never works out. All right, never. It is never the top game. The anime scene is, if you have like the top game of an anime scene is literally just if the game feels like you are actually in the anime. That's what it has to feel like. Now I have on my other side Peroxide. Now you guys might be thinking, oh my god, Peroxide is such a dead game. Look at this graph. Alright, it has never gone below 1,000 players. And look at this decline from the update. It wasn't just like a instant drop, right? What I just did was from August 19th to September 21st. Alright, that's how long it took for half of the player base to leave. Alright. On the other hand, Type Soul went from 69k. How long did it take for them to drop? 30k. About half a month. Alright. So you can see that Type Soul the player count of Type Soul drops way faster than the player count of Peroxide. And you'll notice that it stays around on Peroxide for much longer. You want to know why? It's because the casual community is feeling good. They feel like they're in a Bleach game. There's no outside source, stuff like that. And the competitive community, is feeling good because they have these new things to try out in ranked. All right, they have new events. All right, and it feels like a Bleach game with good ranked, and there's many unlockables for the casual community to do, and it's really easy to play around with friends. You know, you got these good PvE missions and stuff like that. While on the other hand, Type Soul does not have that. Type Soul is a PvP based game, right? Everything you do, it has to have PvP. Other hand, on the peroxide, you don't have to do PvP. All right, you don't have to do it. So that is why we see peroxide performing better in its longer stages than Type Soul. All right, 692, like this was horrible. And then they release again, and it drops down to below 1,000, and they're like, okay, let's shut down the game because this is embarrassing. Type Soul is really bad with their casual community. All right, so, but that's not it, right? This I'm just explaining to you why the earlier updates failed. Now I'm gonna explain to you why this update will be even worse for the casual community. All right. Now, some of you guys might have noticed, Type Soul has dropped their update log. All right, and this has given us a bunch of information, right? But I want to focus on the Hellverse. Okay. Now let me explain something to you. If you're a casual player, you have 4 kids, you play maybe 1 hour a day, and you realize that all of your data can be wiped, and you don't want to play that game anymore. All right, this is for the casual community will not want to play permadeath games. You look at Roblox, right? That is a permadeath game. Look at the like rate on it for me, please. Permadeath games do not cater to the casual community as much as they do competitive community. All right, competitive people love permadeath because, and me being a competitive like I love permadeath, don't get me wrong, but I do understand that permadeath is not good for the casual community. All right, in fact, it's horrible for the game as a whole. So them adding permadeath is even worse because if you wipe as a casual player, you spend so long making your build, you fought so many different bosses, and you wipe. That's not fun. No one wants to reprog. All right, that shit is horrible. But Comfey, you know, you just have to fight your NPCs. But what happens if you don't win against your NPC? Right, you get wiped, and eventually that's gonna happen. Oh, but Comfey, you aren't required to go in hell, and it's only in hell. Okay, but the casual players, they want to get every single piece of content they can. They want to get their true pocket. They want to get your true Segunda and true full standing. But you have to go to hell, which is permadeath. All right. So I think you guys can see where this is going. The casual community is forced into permadeath. All right. And permadeath is not good for the casual community. So this game, Type Soul, I don't think they understand. I'm saying I don't think they understand. But Type Soul is really bad at catering to the casual community. I said casual community so many times today, and I'm sorry, but it's a fact. And this update makes it even worse. This will be the biggest fall off. Because imagine, all right, even for the competitive community, you spend all your time getting those essences, those whatever the fuck they have, like the ultimates, right? And all of a sudden you lose it all. How will you feel after dropping 100 hours on the game? And you have to do that over and over again. What you have to grade up again. It's not going to be good for this game. You can't just throw in PD to a game like this where you have to drop a shit ton of time into it to get a shit ton of stuff. You can't do that. And this right here will kill the game. All right. Now drop a like if you agree. Please don't dislike because that would be really hurtful to me. But you know, drop a sub. I will be posting Type Soul content because I will still be playing the game. But tell me what you guys think, if you agree with me or not. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Love you guys. Peace.